Hello, good morning and welcome to Nigeria Market. We are live on our live stream, Nigeria Market program. You know it's always an economic program and it's been anchored by Ambassador Initiative for Development and Empowerment, that is AID. And it's a pleasure this morning to be with you online. It's Nigeria Market, as you always know, is an advocacy program talking economy in Nigeria, and our emphasis is on how we can be self-sufficient and how we should look inward so that we can be able to, sustain ourselves and grow the economy. It will interest you to whet your appetite with economic issues that are on board this morning. And you know what is happening out there in the market. We keep saying the market because our vision here is talking market, Nigeria market. You know, the inflation is still high, food inflation, and now it's bouncing back on forex. If you hear the news this morning, we're saying Nigerian naira is going to above $500, $1 to 520 something naira. And before we know, as we get to next month, we'll get to 600 naira. So it's going to hit hard. And we understand the policy central bank is making. We understand those policies probably may not be sustainable, but then there are a lot of outcry that the policy may not be able to sustain because it's losing jobs according to Bureau de Change operators. This morning I'm with my ED, and I think he's delighted to join us this morning. Mr. Chimene Samuel.
I've always been with you, so delighted. All right, viewers, it's a pleasure having you. Especially this is the last edition for the month of July.
Yeah, of course.
See how time flies. We just shouted Happy New Year, and then this is the 7th month ending. All right, so we're happy that you've been part of this whole show. In fact, your presence, your comment, your everything, has been our strength. So I think that we need to applaud our viewers, and then so that when you thank somebody for the one he has done, he will do more. So we're thanking you now so that August will be a bigger boom for all of us. Not just talking about the Nigerian economy, but the Nigerian market again, and then the people are the market we're talking about. So we have to all play our role as citizens so that we can have the Nigeria of our dream.
All right. Thanking you. We're thanking those who are actually online watching us and listening to us, and those who will follow us later. We appreciate you for your time. So today we're going to look on our topic is not far-fetched. We're looking at spotlight on economic diversification. It's a review of what we've done this month, and it's quite interesting that we need to look at the gains that we've been able to achieve within these 4 weeks. So we'll be able to look at them sector by sector, so that we draw out all that we need to carry on to be able to settle ourselves. Because we know as the months get further, there are a lot of challenges that are waiting for us. So we need to get prepared. So we're going to look at all the things we discuss and see all the advantages that these topics brought us, so that Nigerians, as you're listening, you can begin to prepare yourself to see how harder days can be taken care of. Because we are saying that it is now that we need to always think how we can plan for tomorrow. So if we don't plan today, then tomorrow will be very, very dangerous. So what are those things that we're planning to make sure that we can take care of tomorrow? And that's why Nigerian market is always bringing us topics that we must look at and see where we can live. But to our topic, we actually reviewed harnessing the potentials of MSMEs in earlier this month, and we looked at those potentials that needed to be harnessed, and what's actually have we been able to gain within these topics that we raised within the month of July.
Well, the topics we treated or we discussed, throughout the month of July, I think for me, that's why the headline says spotlight. What we've just done in the month of July is to look at those alternative sources, areas that, yes, the government will tell you we are needs, okay, the citizens, everybody is talking about, the economy is going down and we keep losing jobs. You have just mentioned the Bureau de Change band and all that, selling our forex to the Bureau de Change, and they're already crying out the number of jobs that will be lost if that happens. Okay, so Now, what we are telling government is that you don't need to come up with these harsh policies that will make us lose more jobs, because we have had enough. That all we should be thinking now is how do we create more jobs, because a lot of people are losing jobs on daily basis. All right, so that's why we took time, in all the topics we treated in the month of July this month, is just to look at those other aspects of our human existence or endeavors as a people, that government should look inward, because why we say government, they are the policy makers and the policy drivers.
Yeah.
So you cannot just say it's the citizens. It is whatever they give us that we try to run with. So we mentioned, the potentials of SMEs. We celebrated the World SME Day, MSME Day. All right. And for everything we celebrate, the question is, what is the lessons we are deriving from celebrating this sense? Because in July alone, we celebrated MSME Day, we celebrated world population, we celebrated youth skills, and all that. All right. Picking out these things, why is United Nations declaring these days, recognizing these days, or this,
worldwide,
to be marked? Okay, let's use the word mark these days, so that you just know that these things are important. I think it's just a reminder that these sectors are all important. All right, so for us as a nation, all we need to do is that, okay, in our MSMEs, okay, the studies have shown, or data have shown, that for every developed economy, that MSMEs or SMEs play at least 65% of the GDP comes from this sector. Look at it, small, medium,
yeah.
okay, and as small as it is, and then the medium as it is adding to what you think even the federal government is giving out, in terms of job creation. So they are the engine room of the economy. So that's why the government will have to look inward and see how they can harness the potentials in this sector to grow the economy, especially in terms of job creation. For us in Nigeria, we have seen a lot that has to do. I'm just tired of you just tune your radio, or you just pages of newspaper Nigeria on the negative. Every word, this thing that comes up, unemployment Nigeria is negative, poverty Nigeria is negative. So what effort is the government, not enough in saying we are doing this, we are doing that, we are doing this. Yes, you are doing. Let's get a pointer. Let's see that drastic measure that we can all measure, because this is another thing. It's not enough saying we are doing, but what are the indices? What are the indicators that those in development can use to measure what effort you say you are putting in for football? When you play, I think one of those indicators is when there is goal. They understand that, oh, we won. No matter how you play, how hard you play, if you don't win, matches, people don't appreciate your effort. So that's exactly what SMEs, government, we are telling government to look inward and harness this potential. So of course,
before you add more, for us to actually encourage government to see what they can do towards this direction. I think it's a good news this morning. At least we're hearing our president in UK talking about funding education, and he has promised that he's going to increase the budget of education. And so many schools of thought have said this MSCs, entrepreneurs should be inculcated into the schools, so that it's school curricula, so that when the students come out, they'll be self-sufficient. There should be job creators, not job seekers. So part of this is going to help. So I think when you mention government,
because government has,
so I think that's a point, and I pray that by the time they increase the budget, some of these issues can be addressed. All right. Having said that, we also looked at the effect of inflation on the economy, and that is what is still going on high now. And not only inflation in the naira, talking about inflation, food.
That's
the
most important.
The basic thing. Human being first, even if you bring is food, food before you talk about what shelter and clothes. Other things are just secondary. So if in the market a common man cannot be able to measure up a square meal, not even three, a square be able to go to the market, buy a pot of soup with at least a 1,000 or 2,000 naira. Then
That's like the dream now.
So
You
it's,
know.
it's an issue. So we should also see how government can be able to step up. And what government said initially was middlemen, and these are the issues. So if they have actually identified this, they should look for a strategy to see how they can be able to cut off. Because I heard already where a nearby state like Kogi State, the food inflation there was about 30 something percent, whereas in Abuja was 17 point. So they were raising indices. So how can the governor in Kogi State here, that is a closer place to Abuja, that is 17, which is the lowest across the country, wouldn't think of putting up a team to come and understudy what's actually happening so that they can be able to help reduce the food inflation that is actually affecting its own state. So these are issues we should begin to encourage government. No one will talk about government here, it's not just the federal government. We're talking about state government, local government, whatever they can do to be able to cushion the effect of this inflation across board. Okay, we also talked about how Nigeria can use the population and the youth skill. I think you dwell on it very strongly the other day when you were. So, what are the takeaways that we need to actually have a review so that our viewers can be able to, have a rethink and see what they can.
All right. We all understand the importance of population, especially as regards to market economy. Now, everybody who wants to set up a business, all right, first, one of those things you should take into cognizance is who are your market target. All right, that has to do with the number of persons you are targeting, because nobody goes into business to fail. All right, so when you are doing your market analysis or market survey because you want to go into, now you have to take into cognizance how many people will patronize this thing you are doing. Now, for us in Nigeria, we have shouted on this platform, that population of 200 million people. Now, out of these 200 million people, we can say the valid 100 million or 120 or 140 million, above 100 million are adults. Okay, adults, whether as a youth, or a full-grown adult that buys vehicle or uses vehicle, buys clothes, shoes, furniture, anything you just mentioned that has to do with purchasing, these people buy. Now, imagine the number of vehicles you see in Nigeria today that we have, a system that these vehicles are bought or sold within Nigeria. All right, that will have created also a robust economy for the country. Now, Nigeria is not taking, for me, in my opinion, that Nigeria is not taking that advantage of the population. Every developed, every manufacturer, in Europe that is targeting Africa, let me tell you, that Africa is Nigeria.
Of course.
The Africa they are targeting is Nigeria. We have said whether they like it or not, whether they take their operational base to other country, is an indirect sales, which the government have to look inward so much. Because if they're saying that our business environment is not that friendly, we have harsh business environment. Now, the government in their ease of doing business policy, now we have to look at those things. What are the complaints? If Twitter left Nigeria and went to Ghana because that Nigeria, the government is not allowing that freedom, of social media. And then we saw that the people were not, the clamp on Twitter came after they have gone to Ghana. And then people shouted, and our reason for going to Ghana is because the government is not friendly, they don't allow that freedom of social media and all that. And we saw that happen because immediately after that, maybe that the anger of that, the government now went after Twitter. We are just finishing that Toyota is going to Ghana. Now you ask how many Ghanaians use Toyota. The time I visited Ghana, at least up to 2016, you see more of Mazda. But Nigeria, all our government officials use Toyota. It's either Toyota Land Cruiser or whatever Camry or whatever title or products you can see. They're all Toyota. That's what we use. We see it as one of the strongest rugged vehicles in Nigeria. So why would Nigeria government, because everything we discuss today, we look at the government because they are the policy makers and the policy drivers. Now, if the government realizes that we have this huge population, so why is government not making business environment very friendly so that we can have more of the private sector setting up in Nigeria? Because if we don't allow these things, we keep closing down industries. There is no magic that government can do to absorb the number of unemployed people in Nigeria. Yeah. Take for instance, I think on 2 occasions I've heard River State government and Akwa Ibom State, because I think I was in Akwa Ibom in February this year. They have lifted bound or announced recruitment in teaching sector. Probably they wanted about 1,000 teachers, right? The moment they allow that, you have over 50,000 applying. So where do you start? And as soon as that comes, they put confusion in the government head. So they just abandon that. So it is happening. Most of the state governments cannot announce any recruitment because the population that you will see is the same thing that's happening even in federal government. Look at when they said Empower, you are targeting 500,000 people. You have over 2 million or 3 million people applying, so it becomes like the survival of the fittest.
Okay, I think that's for me. I think having talked about population, even when we know the huge population we have, but me, I believe that government should first of all know his population. When the last time the government took census or the actual number of the populated Nigeria?
No, but I think that
was about 2005. It's over 15 years plus, and I know that population figures helps government to plan and to know which sector need what it needs at what amount or whatever. But if the government generally lacks these statistics, definitely they cannot be able to plan up adequately to be able to meet with the needs of the nation. So having said that, even when you say other African countries or the world now, manufacture goods,
they produce and target
Nigeria as a market.
Yeah.
We as Nigerians ourselves, we need to first of all know what the population was, so that whatever we are producing to feed ourselves, so that we can be self-sufficient. Because that's our mantra here. We first of all think that we have enough, so that we can be able to look outward. So if we don't have enough, how do we think we can be able to sustain ourselves? So I think that's one of the points we want to let government know. But thank God that there's hope that there's going to be census soonest. I think that will help government to plan ahead. All right.
But outside census, there have been other indirect census. Let me use the word indirect census because they do voters registrations. Yeah. They do even the SIM card registration.
If
government says
constitutional.
Yeah, okay, fine. But they still have that. Bureau of Statistics,
so I think census is still quite necessary for this. All right. Yes, after that, I think we will dwell on the population and how youths, the population of the youths within this population sector can be useful to grow the economy. We also talked about furniture, diversifying furniture business in Nigeria. I think that's one of the last edition we treated last week. I think that too was very, very interesting, and we were able to carry out some spotlight on some furniture industry within Nigeria now. So the huge potential that was lying out there, and we particularly had a spotlight with Atco Industry Nigeria Limited with Chief Dr. Kachi Eheme. I think he mentioned that for furniture business to grow, which we understand that is also a sector that is creating jobs from what we saw. For furniture business to actually grow, the government should begin to think about revisiting the ban that was imposed in Nigeria in the furniture sector then during the Obasanjo's regime, so that the sector is liberalized. I think the huge potential that is lying in Nigeria, we can to create more jobs, because we understand that the chain of value chain that is involved in furniture business, a lot of Nigerians, if they are engaged, we can be able to pull them out of the street. I think that's one of those issues we discussed. I don't know whether you have any point to make as regards to that.
Well, there's always a huge like we said, we are helping the government, those policymakers. I just believe that they will listen to us more. That also reminds us that very soon we're also going to host a consultative meeting with the media and then the heads of PROs of these government agencies, MDAs, ministry, especially the ones we target as the key intervention government ministries, departments and agencies. So they are stakeholders. Now, talking about that furniture, it's a huge shift. Like looking at agriculture, I think when we mention diversification, in Nigeria context, outside the oil, the most pronounced is agriculture, because of the vast land we have. But a study now has shown us what we did this period have also shown that the furniture industry is also an area that can cope a lot of young people, because it also has to do with skill. Okay, not just the carpentry, even the common carpenter, must be creative to be able to attract, customers, especially within the modern age. Now, we looked at furniture industry and we saw the huge potential these things have. It has different segment: production, manufacturing, sales, design. So a lot.
Yeah,
a lot. So
it's an act of creation.
Exactly. So as you just start, yes, everybody. Now, I think two sectors that the government can look inward again or into is, furniture and the housing, the real estate, because they go hand in hand. There's no way you can build without furniture.
Yes.
So you can use these two sectors to pull a lot of young people out of the street, because they are there on our daily needs. These are, when you mention those basic needs of life, apart from the food, which they have concentrated so much on agriculture. Another thing is what? Shelter. And then shelter has to do with housing. Then you can't do housing without furniture. So government should look at these sectors, galvanize the same effort, like we're talking about the challenges. I don't know whether we'll check at that by next edition, so that let's just conclude on it, before we come in with the government. Let's know the money they are giving, to agriculturists on agro business. Can we also put so much like that on housing, and maybe say this furniture industries, and then we see how we can just.
I think that would be a discussion for another day, because I want to debunk where the Minister of Housing said there's no deficit in housing in Nigeria.
Which minister can say that?
He said so.
We have over how many millions? No, that's not possible.
It's another topic for another day. Viewers, if you're listening, we are talking about spotlighting on our economic diversification, and we try to see how far we've gone this month, all the reviews and the take home that we needed to look at, so that we can actually begin to prepare ourselves towards the economic hardship that may be able to come, because we are expecting fuel subsidy removal, and as soon as that comes, the economy will bite higher. So we talked about inflation, we talked about SMEs and all that, we talked about furniture, but the bottom line here is policy. Government should make policies that is, very good enough to bring Nigerians to do economy and to drive the economy, so that we can actually begin to be very strong towards this area. So if you're listening to us, you're watching us, we want to say it's an honor again to join us this week, and we want to say thank you because of time. I will expect that we'll come back next week with more of this economic matter, so that we can see how we move our economy forward. And so before we leave, normally we always say,
before they buy Nigeria to grow Nigeria, that the third wave of the COVID is coming. I think this morning it was said that the federal government has set aside marked 36 billion, to fight COVID.
The third wave.
Yes, because that's coming. So
if that is the case, we have to stay. We have to
say the 30 days we have over 4,000 cases already in 30 days. So
you're out there, you need to be careful to put on your nose mask and do the necessary protocols.
Your hand sanitizer, your washing of your hands, and
we can be healthy to talk more of this economy. So once again, before we leave, we want to say, Nigerians, buy Nigeria to grow Nigeria. Bye. Yeah, well done.